I don't like these movies.
Get real.
Dude, I saw that movie 20 goddamn times!
Just consume product. I watch my movies.
Having so much fun!
Oh, this movie's too complicated.
So, once again, no smoking in this theater.
I'm a fucking star!
Hello and welcome back to this week's Idol Film Club, your Brain Rock Girlfriend's favourite film podcast. I'm Gio.
And I'm Callum.
And we are back today after a little bit of a mini hiatus.
Yeah, a little sabbatical.
Life just gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah, we're both very busy.
And we've been to the cinema a lot to see a lot of different things.
Yes.
So get ready for some
We're playing catch up now.
new ass content over the next few weeks. So we'll be covering Long Legs next week before we go on our little hiatus, as we do have a bit of a break before anything new comes out. So we're ready to rock and roll on this week's episode, the X trilogy.
Yes, we rewatched X, Pearl, in preparation for Maxine, and we went to the cinema to see Maxine.
So yeah,
So we're going to give it a little retrospective now it's all wrapped up nicely.
lovely. First of all, how are you?
I'm okay. It's pretty hot, which is good. It's a bit muggy. And I'm okay. We've been formulating ideas for the podcast's future episodes, which is fun. We're going to do a Batman retrospective at some point, so we're watching all the Batman movies.
Yeah, we've got Alien Romulus coming out, so we're gonna do.
Romulus.
We're gonna watch all of the Alien movies.
We got a new TV, so
It's awesome.
we are just... But to be fair, I don't think we've watched a good movie on it yet.
I don't think we have either. It's a 65-inch.
It's fucking big.
It's humongous.
It's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So yeah, we've just been watching movies as we do, busy at work, but I'm glad to be back recording. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready to talk about the X trilogy.
Good.
I love these movies,
I'm
some
very
more
ready.
than others, but yeah, no, they're great movies.
Should we get into it?
Let's get into it. So what we're going to do, we're going to format this chronologically in regards to the story's narrative. Obviously, X was released first, then Pearl, but we're going to start with Pearl so we can give a bit of context to X. And we're going to spend a little bit of time on the first two, but then do a bit of a deeper dive into Maxine, as that is the newest one and the one that's freshest in our minds.
For sure. So Pearl obviously came out in 2022, as did X. So these two were sort of filmed back to back. A24 basically gave them the green light to start production on Pearl pretty much as soon as X started filming. Which,
Yeah, I saw that they wrote it over FaceTime in a 2-week
New Zealand
COVID-19
lockdown.
break. Yeah. Mia Goth and Ty West.
And again, I like this in a similar way to when we talked about Quentin Tarantino and Uma Thurman. It feels very collaborative, and it feels like Mia Goth really
Yes.
put her own stamp on it as well, which is great.
Definitely, and I don't even know if it was meant to start that way with X. I think as they went along filming X, they saw, well, Ty West saw Mia Goth's potential as
Yeah.
a writer and a producer because she was so into it,
For
which is
sure.
great. So, do you want to get into Pearl, our first movie?
Sure.
Rumor has it they only take one gal per town.
We're looking for someone with X Factor.
Has to be me.
So just to give you a bit of background, Pearl was released in 2022, directed by Ty West, as they all are. A24 and Universal Pictures were the distributor for this movie. Sits at an hour and 43 minutes. Against an $8 million budget, it made $10.1 million at the box office.
That could be considered a flop.
Yeah, it's weird because of how culturally relevant Pearl
Yeah.
is. It didn't make very much money.
No, not at all. When you consider factoring in marketing and
Yeah.
things like that, did it get big from a VOD release? Do you reckon, or
I can't remember, to be honest
no? I
with
can't
you.
remember.
I feel like it's been so ubiquitous in pop culture since it's come out, especially with like Gen Z, like TikTok.
Yeah.
It's been massive. I was shocked
No
to
one
find
who
out.
made the memes have actually seen the movie.
So this sits at a 7 on IMDb, a 92% Rotten Tomatoes, and a 76 Metascore. So well received. It has the highest IMDb rating of the franchise.
That would align with my taste as well.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Crazy. In terms of Rotten Tomatoes, this sits second, and Metascore, this also sits second.
Please, Lord, make me the biggest star the world has ever known, so that I'll make it far, far away from this place.
I love Pearl.
Oh,
I think it's so good.
I'm glad.
I love the setting. I think it's the best looking of the three.
Well, because it was meant to be black and white.
I read that, and A24 didn't like it, so they leaned really hard into the Technicolor,
Which I like.
I love.
The blood and the vividness, it ties in so well with Pearl's delusional worldview as
Yes.
well. Everything to her is like bright.
Yeah.
She's a person of intensity.
Yes.
Harboring mental illness
Yeah.
in a time that, I mean, she's definitely got issues, that's for sure.
I want to be loved from as many people as possible. But truth is, I'm not really a good person.
So I'm gonna just do a quick rundown of the plot. This is off the top of my head. I haven't
Right.
written this down, but Pearl is basically about a young woman living on a farm. She's a German immigrant. Her mother is very bitter, as I think her father got the Spanish influenza.
I
Is it?
think that's what she references. Either way, he's very ill.
Oh, it might have been in the war, maybe actually.
It could
but he's
be.
ill. He
But it is set at the time where Spanish influence
Yes,
is set in
yeah, that-
1918.
and
so,
that is sort of an underlying theme of the movie as well.
and it
But-
also ties into the fact that when it was made,
yes, it's interesting.
it was lockdown, and that's one of the movie's strengths, I think, is that somehow it's still topical despite being
Yes.
set that many years in the past. I really like that.
So Pearl is working on the farm. Her husband, to be, is at war.
Howie.
Howie. However, Howie's sister invites Pearl, who has delusions
Mitzi.
of Mitzi. Pearl has like delusions of grandeur. She wants to be a
Big
star.
time.
She thinks she's going to be a dancer, and then she gets invited by her sister-in-law to an audition. She goes, doesn't land the part, and starts losing the plot a bit. And she just wants to get off the farm so bad, which you can't blame her. Her mother is very German and strict
It's
and
that
severe.
generational trauma
Yes.
again,
Mhm.
where it's like, yeah, the mum has a really shit life. I would be miserable if I was her as well.
How is it you find our life so beneath you? You've always had a roof over your head, food in your belly. Do you not think that came at great sacrifice from your father and I?
And she goes into town to pick up some bits, medicine for her father.
Yeah, morphine she goes to get.
Yes, and goes to see a picture show of Dancing Follies, is it?
Paradise, something Follies.
Paradise Follies?
Something, I think that's it.
Okay. And she meets the projectionist, who she has a little relationship with. There's that sort of always underlying guilt from her because she knows her husband's at war.
Yeah, but she's horny.
She is horny. She ends up fucking a scarecrow in a field.
Awesome.
And yeah, she goes on a murder spree. Spoilers.
It's very interesting to me that you rank this top because this is my bottom movie.
That is insane.
That's by no means saying that it's a bad movie. I think it's an excellent movie. It's my least favourite.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Mia Goth shines in it more than she
She's
does in the
so
others.
good.
I love the Technicolor. Even just thinking about the title card, because it's obviously very much inspired by like The Wizard of Oz and movies of the 20s.
And that's what I
30s,
think
rather.
this franchise's strength is
Mm-hmm.
how 3 films can feel so culturally, visually, thematically, maybe not thematically different, but
No, I think there's different themes to each one.
Yeah.
This one leans more into... Because until we get to Maxine Minx's character, who isn't in this, obviously, this is Pearl,
the prequel.
the prequel to X. There's themes of, obviously, like you said, generational trauma, the Great War,
Impacts of war, yeah.
and I guess the patriarchy.
Yeah, and the beginning of Hollywood,
Yes,
really.
yeah. Oh, yeah, the beginning of moving
Movies,
pictures,
yeah.
yeah. It's worth noting as well, the projectionist invites her to the cinema again, and she goes and he shows her a very early pornographic film that he said he got from France.
Yeah, they're called stag films.
Stag films, yes.
How about a film nobody else has seen?
Is it legal?
Will be eventually.
So that's obviously a theme, and which obviously ties in later on to the sequels.
Sort of what the whole franchise
Yes,
is
of course, yeah.
pivoted around. But yeah, no, I do really like Pearl. I think it commits to the bit. I think it's immersive. I think Mia Goth is fabulous. I think Pearl's mum, the German woman, was the intimacy coordinator on X.
I read that, yeah.
And she then auditioned for the role of Pearl's mum.
She learnt German.
Yeah, in like 3 weeks or
Yeah.
something. But she does a convincing job of being.
Apparently, there was 2 German cast members on set, and she managed to convince them
Wow.
that she was German.
That's crazy because
She's
I
very
mean
talented.
I don't have an ear for German. I wouldn't be able to tell, but to me, I mean, she sounds convincing.
Well, she definitely have the severity of a German woman, especially of that generation.
I've seen the things you've done in private. You believe no one is watching.
Is there a reason that this is on the lower side of your ranking on this trilogy?
The only reason is that I like my movies a bit more gritty, and like
Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful movie. I think it's so much fun. I think the performances are wonderful. I think it's funny. I think that this has the most lasting Mia Goth performance.
Yeah, what I love about her performance is...
I'm married.
Yeah, it starts off...
It's so balls to the wall. It's
It
great.
is, but it starts off very cutesy and, you know, she's performing for her animals and stuff, and you're like, oh God, I want this girl to get off the farm. And then, you know, she's taken into the real world, and
Layer by layer. Yeah.
it starts to peel off, and then
You
that
realise
intensity shines through more than anything.
What did I do wrong?
Nothing. Calm down.
No! Why are you leaving me if I didn't do anything wrong? I don't understand. I thought you liked me!
I do like you. I just...
Tell me the truth! Why are you leaving me? What did you see? Why did you change?
You're scaring me, Pearl.
You know, the projectionist is a, you know, piece of shit, but he's meant to be. He's played very,
he's a like
he's a sleazebag.
Yeah,
and he's a
he's-
draft dodger as well.
yeah, he's just as if that's he's a bohemian.
Yeah.
He's just like he's just a fuckboy.
Yeah, he's a sleazebag.
There's so many memorable quotes and moments in
Yeah.
this, and
Her having sex with the scarecrow in the field is
so
great.
good.
Her
Au
killing the
revoir,
goose.
poor Johnny.
Yeah.
There's so many great moments. You get the origin of the alligator.
Names are, I can't remember their name. but it's-
Theta. She is in Palace Folly.
Yes, Palace Follies.
That's it.
Well
What did I
done.
say before?
You said Paradise Follies.
Yeah, and that comes up again in Maxine as well, so
Yes.
we'll talk about that. I mean, it's no surprise, X is my favourite of the trilogy. And what I like about Pearl is how, although it's set much further away in time, because it's on the farm, it feels so much more, and it was obviously filmed at the same time, back to back, you know, it has that immediate connection to X. It shows the setting of X in just a completely different way,
Yeah.
and in a technicolor way, as opposed to the grindhouse
Yes, yeah.
indie exploitation movie way that it's shown in X. Maxine definitely is the black sheep.
Yeah, it
in
doesn't-
in more ways than
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
and I think that unfortunately won't work for everyone.
Mhm. I heard that, because obviously it's the same farm and it's very run down in X, but they renovated it to make it look newer and fresher for Pearl. And the homeowners there in New
Yeah.
Zealand apparently just kept it as they left it, sort of thing.
And they said it was harder to do it for X
Yeah, to
than
make
it was to make it for the
yeah,
Pearl
it was
setting.
harder to make it look lived in and rough.
Do you have any highlights of Pearl?
The audition scene.
The audition is wonderful.
No, I'm a star! Please, I'm a star!
Obviously the end monologue and
So good.
Mia Goth's
I think
unbroken
it's 8
smile.
minutes long.
Yeah, I can't even remember how this movie ends. Who's her monologue to?
Mitzi.
Is it? Yeah.
Because she's like, pretend I'm Howard and tell me how you're really feeling.
Yeah.
And then she just like talks and talks
Oh, it's
and
so
talks
good.
and talks. And yeah, I completely understand why this would be your favourite. And by putting it last, I'm by no means saying that it's not a bad film at all.
You really like these movies.
I love these movies. I think they're great. I'm not really a fan of that kind of cinema. It's a bit...
I just love the scope of this. and
Yeah, it's
how
wonderful. It is so
ambitious
good.
it is, and just spawning a horror franchise out of thin air. I love a horror franchise. You know?
Yeah,
we
same.
both do. I feel like we're in desperate need of something like this for horror.
I agree.
Yeah, you know, there's only so many fucking Halloween movies and you can make.
Yeah,
before.
for sure.
I mean, I guess you got the Terrifier movies and things like that.
Don't care.
But I'm glad we have an A24 franchise that is creative and not by the numbers. And to do Pearl as your second film, I think is ballsy. And fair play to Mia Goth and Ty West, because it paid off.
Yeah, I love this film. It's wonderful.
It is scary. Like you said, I don't prefer it, but I think there's a real value in a 15 rated horror being scary. I know this isn't that scary, but I think it relies more on your performances than it does the gore and violence.
It's a nice entry-level horror movie.
Girls should be able to watch these sorts of things.
And I'm so glad that it's resonated in the way that it has, and it's fun. It's a fun movie. Her performance is just crazy. She is the ultimate girl fail.
Yeah, people obviously, there was a big meme about calling this Joker for girls. For me, it's Drive 2011 for girls, because Joker didn't resonate with me that much, but yeah.
She's so awful, and all of us deep down have a little bit of Pearl. Well, I say all of us, I do anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not staying on this farm. But I think this movie is so quotable and so iconic, and that goes a long way.
I didn't realise the box office take was so low, but I guess this will be a cult classic.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it feels very female focused. It's
and I think that is Mia Goth's influence coming through, because she wasn't a writer on X, but she was on this. So I think her influence shines through in the best way possible.
For sure.
So yeah, Pearl, I love it. You love it. I love it more than you maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, I think it is wonderful.
I agree.
Can't say enough good things about it.
I want to be special, dancing up on the screen like the pretty girls in the pictures.
So jumping from 1918, we then jump to 1979
Hell yeah.
for X.
X is very fun.
Awesome fucking movie.
It is, don't get me wrong, it's very close to Pearl for me. It's awesome.
I think it's fabulous.
I need to be famous, Wayne. All the best people are.
Ain't nobody else out there like you.
The cast is absolutely stacked. It feels like a movie from the 70s. I mean, it reinvented Jenna Ortega. Not reinvented, pretty much invented Jenna Ortega in the capacity that she is a scream queen now.
For sure.
And it's fucking ballsy and grimy and slimy.
I literally, even talking about it, I can't stop smiling.
Yeah.
I love this movie. I think it is the closest we will ever get to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think it
understands
it
the
fundamentally
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
understands the Texas Chainsaw Massacre better than any Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel ever has.
Because we are I think it would
be fair to say that it's probably my favourite film.
Same. I think Texas Chainsaw is both our favourite horror movies.
I think it is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, yeah, this is obviously heavily inspired by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's set in 1979. Just to give you a little bit of an overview before you give us the plot, X came out in 2022. Ty West again, obviously this was the original. A24 distributed it. It was an 18, sat at an hour and 45 against a $1 million budget, which first of all is unbelievably small. How this movie got made with $1 million is...
I imagine a lot of it has to do with the filming location in New Zealand, because the house, like I said, it wasn't purpose built. It's not a studio lot. So all you have to do is hire that farm and then hire actors.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks very impressive for a $1 million budget movie.
And it made $15.1 million at the box office.
Crazy.
So I think the reason it didn't really matter how much money Pearl made was because people were going to go and see it.
Yeah.
And X did so well at the box office that I don't think it really mattered how much it made.
Yeah, I guess.
We didn't see X in the cinema.
No.
Did we? We didn't even see Pearl in the cinema,
Maybe
did we?
Not.
No, I think we waited. So this has a 6.5 on IMDb, which
it's again horror. You have to disregard IMDb ratings. For
well,
horror
I looked at the
movies.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre just out of comparison, and that has a 7.3.
Again,
crazy.
Why?
This has a 94% Rotten Tomatoes, so this is the best critically received, and it has an 80 Metascore, which I think is far more reflective of how good this film is.
He don't know what we're doing, does he?
Well, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
I can understand why general audiences maybe don't give a shit.
Anyone can rate on IMDb.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I try not to pay too much attention to it, especially when it comes to horror.
No,
movies.
I don't either, but I just think it's fascinating that Pearl has a higher score than this.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I can understand why.
Yeah. This is much more controversial.
Yeah, and it's much less accessible than
Yeah.
Pearl. So do you want to give us a little bit of a...
Right, so again, off the top of my head, a group of filmmakers head out to the Texas farmhouse we know from Pearl to shoot a porno movie.
Would you like to come inside?
There is the main director man, who is not Matthew McConaughey. There is his girlfriend, Maxine.
A fiance, they're engaged.
Fiance, who's Maxine.
Maxine Mink.
Played by Mia Goth. There is our actress, Brittany Snow. I can't remember her name. Another horror alum. What was Brittany Snow big for? Did she do Prom Night remake?
She did the Prom Night remake. She was in Would You Rather with Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah.
I love Brittany Snow
Yeah,
a
she's
lot.
great. She seems great
and
as
she's
well.
fantastic in this.
We have our main actor, played by Kid Cudi.
Is it Jackson Hole? I
Yeah,
think that's his
so.
name.
He's a Vietnam vet. And then we have our director of photography, who looks like the guy from the Evil Dead remake.
Yeah,
and
he
I'm so
does.
shocked that it's not the same actor.
No, I know. They look so similar.
But again, he could be straight out of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, straight out
Sure.
of a Friday sequel. And then his girlfriend, who is the Boomreich operator, who's played by Jenna Ortega.
Yeah.
And they are heading out to shoot a porno on a farm, which is owned by an old couple, Pearl and Howie. Howie's very...
His name's Howard.
Howard's very abrasive on arrival, pulls a gun on our main guy.
Well, because he said that, or he didn't tell them that there was going to be a group of them there.
yeah.
And my wife, Pearl, is next door, so I would appreciate a little discretion.
Because they're hiring out the barn at the bottom of the farm.
Yeah, to basically shoot it's called The Farmer's Daughter.
Yes.
And so they're doing like a farm-themed porno.
So they start shooting the porno, and then our old lady Pearl spies on them and grows envious of their sexuality.
Yeah.
From there, her and Howard pretty much kill them off one by one.
Yeah. I like this movie so much because to me, it's a sense of horror that's very relatable. I'm not scared of failing to be a star.
Yeah.
What I am scared of is aging.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's much more visceral to me, and I think that's why I like this more, because the horror element and the existential questions that are raised by this, I think, are much more affecting for me.
I was young once too.
And it is, I think, extra affecting when you take into account Pearl.
Oh, yeah.
When you realise she never did get off the farm and she's just been left there to sort of stew. And all these resentments towards this and everything just end up growing and growing and growing. And it is sad.
It is sad. You feel sorry for them.
Yeah, you do feel sorry for them.
Because that is everyone's worst nightmare.
And obviously, I don't think the cast do that much wrong.
No.
They seem friendly. They're respectful. I mean...
I think
probably not shooting a porno in the barn or in the stables or whatever, but
again, this is one of the reasons I like the movie so much, because they help when
especially Jackson.
Jackson is nothing but nice. And Brittany Snow
The
helps.
only one who's a bit of a dick in the group is
the guy.
Yeah, our director of photography.
Yeah.
Because there is a funny scene, not funny, but they're all going around an open fire inside the barn after shooting the porno. Because obviously we've watched Mia Goth have sex with Kid Cudi, and her fiance is the director. So Jenna Ortega sort of asks, "Do you not find it, weird to watch your girlfriend go through that sort of thing?" And they discuss about sexuality and how it's you can separate that. And there is romance when you have sex, even if you are shooting a porno, but it just isn't like that.
Yeah,
and the director of photography sort of arrogantly sort of patronises Jenna Ortega until she's like, well, I want to be in the film.
I want to be in the movie.
Well, you can't. The story can't just change midway through.
He's pro porn until it comes to his relationship.
Yeah.
And he's pro women's right to choose.
He's a grifter.
And then it's like, and to be fair, it's a bit of a weird dynamic because if you're in a relationship and you accept accept the ability to have sex with someone else. That's between you and your partner kind of thing. But that's not their dynamic. So he is justified somewhat in...
If he didn't go on a tirade about...
But yeah, he just seems like a little bitch.
Yeah,
and
he
then
didn't go on a tirade about like how their dynamic is like, oh, you don't get it sort of thing.
But it's so patronising.
Yeah.
And then for him to turn around and the minute he's backed into a corner, he shows his real opinions. And when he's like, she's a nice girl. And he's like, what, so you're saying that my fiance is not a nice girl? And he's like, no. But, and it's like, no, that is what you think. And he's very, not clinical about it, but he's making a movie.
Oh, yeah, he thinks he's... You know, gonna be a big hotshot director.
Top-notch doctor.
Yeah, he has, again, delusions of grandeur, where he thinks he's shooting a masterpiece.
But also, during that campfire scene, Brittany Snow's character is like black, white, queer. It doesn't matter. And I think for a movie that's set in that time...
Yeah.
It's a nice pro-sexuality, just... I always appreciate that. I think it's done in a way that's really authentic, and I like that a lot.
Everybody likes sex. It's a gas. But we're just not afraid to admit it. Queer, straight, black, white. It's all disco. You know why? Because one day, we're gonna be too old to fuck.
There's a scene where Maxine goes swimming in the lake.
It's awesome.
And is chased by an alligator.
That overhead like shot where you can
Yeah.
just see it is so scary. I mean, the deaths in this are great. I think
They are really great, and they're all foreshadowed.
yeah, and I think one of the reasons I'm not that keen on Pearl is because I don't think the deaths are very good.
Oh, right. I get you. Yeah.
Whereas in
I just
this,
don't think it's a different kind of movie.
100%. I'm not expecting that from Pearl, but that's why
Yeah.
I don't like it as much, because the deaths in this, like
They're really
her getting
good.
eaten by the alligator is crazy.
It really is. That's Brittany Snow's character,
Yeah.
right?
And it's like, you know that gator is there. You know what's going to happen as soon as you see that goddamn gator.
The build up to that death is so funny because Howard comes knocking on the door of the barn late at night and says that his wife's gone missing.
That's when Jackson answers the door and you just see the shadow, and it's so awesome.
He's got a massive schlong.
Yeah, it's great.
And Howard is like, "Don't worry, we'll find her," sort of thing, and he's very nice about it.
Again, Jackson is more than happy to help, and it's the same with Bobby Lynn. She says, "Oh, I was training to be a nurse at one point."
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, my grandma's like this," sort of thing. And he's very sympathetic towards.
And then Pearl just is so rude.
Yeah.
And it's like
that bitterness that resonates through jealousy and envy.
You don't deserve to be able to just flaunt it in my face like you do.
It ain't my fault you didn't live the life you wanted. Now move out of the way, please. Move, you mean old ugly bitch!
So many good kills in this.
Yeah, and I like the weird... Pearl is straight up evil in this movie. Like, she's keeping, like, young men hostage in her basement. And, like, there's something very viscerally upsetting about that.
Again, in the similar way to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's like, this is so isolated evil, you know what I mean? Where it's in the middle of nowhere.
You can just throw people to your alligators. Who's gonna know? Who is gonna know?
Obviously, Jenna Ortega gets locked in the basement at one point, and I think her iconic scream that she does solidified her as our modern day scream queen.
Yeah,
She's fantastic
absolutely.
in this as well.
Yeah, and I really like, again, she isn't the final girl.
No, yeah.
The pure, innocent, virginal one. She gets killed.
Yeah.
And she even says a line like, "This is all your fault," kind of thing, before she dies.
I never should have listened to you. This is all your fault. Rain, we need to stick together. I hate you. I hate you all so much.
I think the Maxine and Pearl dynamic in this is so good.
We haven't even mentioned they're both played by Mia Goth.
Yeah.
Mia Goth is in old age makeup. Pearl, apparently it took like 6 hours to put on.
Yeah, crazy. That informs the two characters and their constant
Definitely.
like duality so well, because there's even a bit when Pearl says to her, like, "I was a dancer."
I was a dancer in those early years. Then the war came, so not everything in life turns out how you expect.
And it's like, is that true? Because from what we know, probably not.
Yeah.
It could be, but it seems unlikely that she would
Yeah.
still be living on the farm if it was true,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Well, I think even in Pearl, she regards herself as a dancer.
Yeah.
Not a professional one.
But it's so good because Maxine is just like everything that, and the fact that it is literally her as well
Yeah.
it just adds another layer of.
But she's obviously liberated sexually and physically.
She's everything that Pearl wishes
Yes.
that she could have been.
Yeah. She invites her for lemonade, and there's a very tense scene. Where
Yeah,
they're
she
talking.
has a bit of a weird. I'm not sure if it's a sexual attraction to her, but I think it's more of a envying of her as a person as opposed to like a sexual.
Because Pearl breaks into the barn and is in her bed, right? In Maxine's bed.
Yeah, and
Maxine
starts
wakes
like
up.
touching her and.
Yeah.
There's a great scene when Howard and Pearl finally have sex.
Yeah.
And Maxine is just like trapped under the
Oh,
bed, and
no.
it's so good. But again, I really like it. The way that Pearl and Howard are treated is very compassionate, and yeah, they're weirdo sex freaks. Well, Pearl is, but it's done with a lens of compassion.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, Pearl just wants to be wanted.
Yeah, and that's the most human.
Yeah, everyone wants that. Everyone wants to feel attractive and wanted, and even at that age, you
Yeah.
still feel like that.
And I think that's where, for me, X excels.
It shines, yeah.
Because it's almost unfair to compare Pearl and X, I think, because they're
Yeah.
just such different movies. And each of them brings something different to that character and that story, and I really like that. But I think just the way that the themes are laid out and explored in this movie are just, I don't think I've ever seen anything that's really affected me in that way, where it's like, it's such a human want. Everything that's in this film, like Pearl, you 100% understand why she's the way she is without even needing to go into her backstory.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like, everyone wants to be loved. And everyone deep down is scared of getting old.
Yes.
And being undesirable and being.
What society deems as ugly. right?
Yeah. It challenges you to watch an old couple have sex with each other.
Yeah, and challenges your views of what is
Yeah, because
sexy.
a lot of
quote-unquote.
people obviously like get yucked out, but I think it's done in
You
a way.
don't get yucked out by General Ortega and fucking.
Yeah, it's done in a way that's so poignant and just so heartbreaking, where you're like, all she wants is just for him to just have sex with her.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know if I can.
Yeah,
and like, that
'cause
is
it's
just.
his heart.
Yeah, because he ends up having a heart attack later on.
Yeah.
But I just think that's just such a.
Yeah, thematically, X, I think, is wonderful and great.
Yeah, I can't say enough nice things about this movie. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love it. I think it's wonderful.
Me too.
People's eyes are gonna pop out of their damn skulls when they see this.
So you know what you don't think is wonderful?
Oh boy. Should we catch up with Maxine Minx 6 years
Sure.
later?
1985 we are now in with Maxine.
Maxine, year of release this year, 2024.
Max XX. Matt XXXine.
Yes.
Awesome, by the way. Love that.
It is cool.
Funny as
Yeah.
fuck. Ty West once again. A24 distributed this. Another 18, which I was very pleased to see.
Yeah.
An hour and 45 minutes, so exactly the same length as X. I don't know what the budget for this is. I couldn't really find it. I don't think it's been released yet. But as of Friday, it's made $18.2 million. So even more than X.
Fair play.
I'm not sure how many people are going to see it again. This has a 6.8 on IMDb, so this has a higher rating on IMDb than X, which is just crazy to me.
Fucking hell.
A 73 Rotten Tomatoes and a 64 Metascore. So
Yeah.
this is very much the black sheep of the family. It's gonna be a Marmite movie. I love it.
See, I don't hate it though.
No.
I just think it falls apart at the
Yeah.
seams. And thematically doesn't have that much to say.
At the very, very least, even if you don't like this movie, I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. I don't. Well, let's get into the plot. Should we get into the plot?
Go
Right.
for it.
I've actually got an actual plot summary for this.
Yeah.
Which I wrote this morning. So, Maxine.
Have you done a snotty...
No, I haven't actually. None of my opinions are in this movie, in this plot summary. So the year is 1985. Do you know what film was released in 1985? Back to the Future. And a satanic serial killer known as the Night Stalker is terrorizing Los Angeles.
The Night Stalker.
Night Stalker.
Night Stalker.
He's terrorizing Los Angeles.
So we're out of Texas now, and we're in Los
Yeehaw.
Angeles. Another reason why this is a black sheep, I guess. We catch up with Maxine Mings. Our aspiring actress and adult film star still has dreams of being a star. She auditions for a role in The Puritan 2, a horror sequel, and she lands the part after impressing the director Elizabeth Bender, played by Elizabeth Debicki.
Even more confusing than an entirely different name.
Elizabeth Debicki, star of Tenet. Maxine shares the news of her successful audition with her video store clerk friend Leon, played by Moses Sumney. I looked him up.
Yeah, he does a lot of...
I didn't know he was a musician.
Yeah, he's on the Assume Form James Blake album.
Yeah,
He does a lot of...
That's your sort of music as well. He's great in this, by the way.
Yeah, I like him.
She also shares the news with her stripper colleague Amber, and she invites Maxine to a party in the Hollywood Hills. Lots of, important people are going to be there, apparently. But Maxine declines as she has to work her second job, which is being a performer in a live peep show. I kind of didn't realise these were a thing.
Yeah.
It's weird.
We'll talk about it because there's lots of interesting stuff in this movie. Weird stuff that seems so far removed from today.
A leather-clad figure watches her performance at the peep show, and he grows angry. He starts, ripping up.
Wearing his
leather gloves.
Dario Argento
Yes.
black leather gloves.
Another one of her colleagues, Tabby, played by Halsey. I was not looking forward to.
She was
I'm not a
great.
big Halsey fan. All I can think about is that.
'Cause tonight will be...
Yeah. 'Cause tonight will be the night I will fall for you. So Tabby also invites her to a party in the hills. It sounds suspiciously similar to the party Amber was invited to, but Maxine once again declines. The same figure from the peep show leaves a VHS tape at Maxine's door, and this is while her and her video store clerk friend Leon are watching The Puritan 1 together. They have a nice relationship. But
he's gay.
It's not explicitly stated that he's gay. I think he's either gay or he's definitely queer.
I think he's gay because I think there's a passing comment. You know, in a later scene, someone comes into the thing and he's like, makes a comment about a client or something. Yeah. I don't do that anymore.
Oh, right. Yes,
so
yes.
I'm guessing because of Maxine's line of work, that's the implication.
Well, I didn't even get... I was meant to ask whether... Because that's when the figure comes to the videos. Yes, right.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, yes. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so the figure leads to the VHS tape, which Maxine puts in her player and plays, and it turns out to be a police evidence tape of the adult film her and her friends made back in 1979 on the farm. So we see her porno, the, Farmer's Daughter.
Farmer's Daughter, take one.
Play out her scene where she's fucking in the barn.
It's so good because it co-ops what was such a positive and genuine experience for her and twists it, and the look of ecstasy on her face compared to the effect that this is having on her mentally whilst watching it. It's so well done.
On the set of The Puritan 2, a folded yearbook photo of Maxine is left on her car's windscreen because obviously she's going by a fake name now. But it's her original... I can't remember her actual last name, but the note has an address on it. She meets a PI there, John Labatt, played by Kevin Bacon.
Oh, say, ain't you that dirty movie actress? Well, you look a whole lot taller in person. I guess I only ever seen you lying on your back.
Again, horror royalty.
Yeah.
With Friday the 13th, Tremors. So yeah, she meets him at a restaurant and he tells her that he will reveal her secrets, all of her secrets, unless she meets with his employer at an address in the Hollywood Hills. So yeah, he obviously knows her history, the whole Texas situation, the events of X, he knows all of that. Maxine then learns from two LAPD detectives, played by Michelle Monaghan and Bobby Cannavale. I know him from... He's in quite a few comedy movies. Did you recognise him?
I feel like he's familiar. She is in something.
She's in quite a lot.
Yeah, I want to.
She's in Source Code. She's in the Bourne movies. She's in Pixels. Anyway, who cares? So yeah, they inform Maxine that Tabby and Amber were killed and branded with satanic symbols, presumably victims of the Night Stalker. Maxine refuses to cooperate with them, and she doesn't answer any of their questions. She is then later stalked by Labatt, the PI. He tails her car, but she gets out and attacks him, punches him with keys.
Awesome.
She doesn't take any fucking shit. She's killed before, and she says she'll do it again. Elsewhere, Leon is murdered in the video store, as we said in that scene before. The cladded figure from the Peep Show. The detectives try again to get help from Maxine, but she still sends them away. There's quite a sad scene where we see his body being carted off, and I don't think the LAPD would actually do this, but he opened up the sheet to show her who it is.
It's just for the plot. You could say, I guess,
he's trying to make a point, being like,
you need to help us. Yeah, for sure. But
because obviously she worked with the two victims, and now another third.
And this guy is like her best friend.
Yes.
So
I knew 3 people who were murdered in 3 days. I'd be pretty scared. What are you hiding, Maxine?
Maxine then goes to her agent, Teddy Knight.
Awesome.
Played by Giancarlo Esposito.
Love him.
Veteran of the pod.
He's so great.
He's great.
What was he in? Was he in The Beekeeper?
No, he was in Abigail.
Oh, Abigail.
And he was in another thing, I swear. I swear he was in 2 of those movies. He's not playing the strong silent type anymore.
Not.
He's playing a sleazy 80s agent.
I love his toupee.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
She lets Teddy know about Labatt, and he says he can't find anything on the guy, but he will still help. On the set of The Puritan 2, impossibly the worst scene in the movie, Maxine meets Molly Bennett, played by Lily Collins.
Molly Bennett, meet Maxine Minks. Pleased to meet you. Sorry.
I'm just a girl from a Yorkshire council estate. That's literally what her accent sounds like.
She's the star of the original film. Yeah, she, like Georgia said, she's doing a Yorkshire accent.
For some reason.
And it is so fucking bad.
There's literally not a single reason why she would need to do that.
There is no reason why she needs to do a Yorkshire accent.
And it's so distracting.
And it's her only actual scene in the movie.
Just
and
don't.
It's just a waste of time.
Just have her be American. It makes no sense.
Well, she's English, isn't she? So have her be English.
Well, either way, who cares?
She's not from Yorkshire, though. So why are you doing a Yorkshire accent? And you're not good at it.
No.
You are no Jodie Comer.
No. It just makes no sense.
I don't think Lily Collins is very good at anything, to be honest.
She's
a Nepo baby,
I
isn't she?
don't really look.
She's Phil Collins' daughter. I always forget.
Is she?
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
She's the star of the original Puritan film. She mentions she's going to a party in the hills. What? Soon after this, Labatt, Kevin Bacon, finds Maxine on the set and chases her through the Universal Studios lot, which is fun.
Yeah, I like that.
You get to see, I'm sure,
the Psycho house.
You see, yes, you see it earlier in the movie. Elizabeth Debicki's character shows Maxine the Psycho house and the Bates Motel. I saw the trailer for this. Or no, I saw spoilers on Twitter of the trailer because we both try to avoid watching trailers as much as we can. But I said to you, "Oh, do you know anything about Maxine?" And you were like, "No, I don't think." And I was like, "Because I saw that the Bates Motel was there. 'Cause it's in the trailer."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Is this gonna be like fictional? Like, what is this?" But it works in well because they mentioned the sequel to Psycho 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. He also runs through the lot from Back to the Future. I'll just want to shout that out. It doesn't look like the Back to the Future Hill Valley Square, but the clock tower, but it is. That set's used in like Gremlins, that set's used in loads of stuff. But you see that as well, which is fun. He is stopped outside the site. She runs into the Bates house. And Kevin Bacon is stopped outside by a security guard. He's so good in this.
Yeah, he's having a lot of fun.
Oh, I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Private detective, I had to find you.
By who?
Well, that right there, that's privileged information.
He gets escorted out. Another theme of this movie is obviously satanic panic, and there's always in the background of the set sort of protesters being like, Hollywood kidnapped my daughter.
Yeah, it kind of ties in with what we were speaking about in Bad Lieutenant, in the sense of the frenzy around moral panics. And it embeds this in a way that I think works for the narrative of the movie. It's well done.
It's very obviously on the nose.
Of course it is. But like, I mean, those people were like that.
Yeah, it is crazy.
They were just annoying.
So later that night, Maxine tricks Labatt into following her into a club, and then she runs into the toilet, and he, does his bad man speech.
Oh, I love this scene.
And he sees she's gone out the window, so he follows her, and he gets trapped by Teddy Knight and I think a couple of henchmen and Maxine.
And there's dogs as well.
Dogs, and they knock him out, and he wakes up in his car in like an industrial compressor.
Love it.
Like trash compactor.
Squished.
And he gets fucking squished, and
It's
he begs for his life, and it is
awesome.
the best kill in the movie by far.
Yeah,
I love
so
it.
good.
The dogs start licking up his
Ugh,
blood and
it's
guts.
so good. He's just like, I'll do anything. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, you ain't getting out there.
So Maxine finally breaks and goes to the address that she was given, which is presumably the house in the hills all the girls were mentioning. She has to take up a sort of
Weird, like, escalator.
yeah, they have those in like...
It's almost like a ski.
But like Montmartre in Paris, they have that sort of to
Yes,
go up to
true,
that.
yeah.
I think it's similar to that. Here's where the movie sort of falls apart. But so she goes into the house, and who is there but her father, her estranged father, who we see on a TV screen in X.
I will not accept a life I do not deserve. I do not deserve.
He's there. He's the Night Stalker. She finds Molly's dismembered Yorkshire corpse, and we find out her father is leading a sort of crusade against Hollywood with a congregation of members. And he's sort of a Christian, not really, I guess it's a cult. Maybe.
Yeah, they are.
But he is like filming a snuff film where he's killing all these girls to sort of prove a point that Hollywood is bad.
This isn't an isolated point of view either, but I'm just curious as to what doesn't work about this.
Do you not think it doesn't? Do you think it works?
I don't care. I don't.
I just think it's lame.
I mean, fair, but he's been set up
Has he?
from the start. Yeah, we're in the house in X.
Yeah.
He's like preaching on the TV, and
But like, I think it's not that big a twist, right?
I didn't think it needed to be a
right.
twist.
I just think the whole like I'm gonna perform an exorcism and the snuff film, and I don't think he's great, and I just don't like it, and I don't like well, I'll read the rest of the plot. We can talk about this afterwards. So yeah, he's making a snuff film killing movie stars. He believes he can exorcise the evil out of Maxine. He's tried it with the other girls, but he believes Maxine is the one where it's going to work, and he's tied her to a log. And
He's either given them the option to
repent.
Yeah, or he's going to kill them. But he's sort of going to kill them anyway.
But the exorcism is cut short as the detectives show up and the shootout begins. Maxine escapes, and she holds her father at gunpoint underneath the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
She's being tailed by a police helicopter who tells her to drop the gun. She then has like a flash vision to the future where she is a celebrity now, and known for killing her father, the Night Stalker.
Yeah.
The Puritan 2, she's at the premiere, and it's the biggest film in the country.
The follow-up to a film that possessed a nation. The Puritan 2.
And Elizabeth Bunker is making her biopic about Maxine, and she's finally a star. But then it flashes back, and she says to her father that he gave her exactly what she needed, which was divine intervention. And they have one last recital of their mantra: "I will not accept a life I do not deserve." And she shoots his head off. Bang! Very gory. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then we see a month later, we see Maxine is still working on the Puritan 2, but she is a fucking movie star. And that is Maxine.
See, I love this movie. And I can understand people disliking it.
Yeah.
All of those little niggly bits, I can understand that really dampening your enjoyment, but I just think I enjoyed this so much that I just don't really give a shit. Like, yeah, Lily Collins is bad.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think it's as bad as some people made it out to be. However, there's something I can't quite put my finger on that it's lacking.
I say Elizabeth Debicki's character is boring, which is a shame because I think she's wonderful.
Whatever's going on in your life that's interfering with this picture, squash it. I intend to.
I don't like the English thing. It's very annoying.
I don't think that horror directors will like that. Like,
yeah.
What is the equivalency of the Puritan, right? What is that pastiching? Is it I'm trying to think of like a horror franchise that is sort of.
Well, I mean,
But for me, it just I don't know. That character I think should have been a sort of maybe a Wes Craven type or a I don't know.
but the Puritan is a female focused.
Yeah, I guess so.
She says something like, I wanted to make a B movie with A ideas. So she's like a bit of a transgressive, like when it comes to transgressive content, she's making it a bit more highbrow and a bit more in the same way that in X, the porno, he's like, I want it to be, this is my movie.
Yeah.
I think she is flipping the script on that Wes Craven auteur thing. But she's a woman, which is cool. I mean, I really like this movie. I like the themes in this movie.
What would you say the themes of Maxine are?
I think the themes are the price of fame. I think the satanic panic. I love the religious elements of this.
I've seen the devil stalking me. I can feel his power.
I see. That's what I don't like.
See, I love, like, at the end, I just think, like, this woman, it was written in the stars for her to be famous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think her whole thing has been, I'm gonna be a star. And she is.
We see a clip at the start of a home video her dad takes of her as a little girl where she says, he's like, you're going to be the star of the church one day.
Yeah. And I think it's a good full circle moment. And if you don't, I'm not going to... When I say you, I mean
No,
anyone,
that's
because I've heard a lot of people saying that they think this movie's terrible, which is fine. I love the sleazy, like, sex.
Yeah. I think my main problem with Maxine is the sort of lack of focus of a look. It doesn't look like an 80s movie at all.
To me, it's more of a movie about Hollywood.
Yeah, but I don't know. It doesn't really... it doesn't look like... For me, I don't know.
Do you not think...
I don't think it looks like an 80s movie.
Well, that's fair.
But maybe I'm naive to... 80s aren't my thing, also. And you can go that horrible way of, like... Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Or what was that other fucking movie? Or Lisa Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I don't want that. Don't get me wrong. I don't want that. So I am being a bit of a hypocrite, I guess. But I'd be interested to know what the influence is in terms of filmmaking. Because I know Ty West is such a movie guy. That,
I think...
I'd be interested to know what the influences were behind Maxine.
I think it is more the giallo sort of Suspiria.
So I wish it leaned into that.
I get that. It's
the cop stuff doesn't work.
It
for
feels
me.
at odds with
the
giallo experience. I think.
Yeah, because I think there is too many characters is another one of my problems with it.
Yeah.
Which is again I think goes towards the lack of focus. Where if I could see this being a giallo movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, you lean into the 1920s, you lean into the Texas Chainsaw, lean into something here.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This movie is not perfect.
No, I'm not saying like. But even then, I'm just trying to work out what because I know I don't like it as much as the others, but then reading the plot, I'm like, oh, it's pretty good. Like,
see, when you're reading the plot, I'm like, this is boring.
It is boring.
But
that's another problem I have with it.
I think the depiction of trauma is done really well in this. I think the lasting effects of trauma is the biggest theme of the movie, and I really like that.
Yeah, I love all the X stuff.
Yeah,
that underlying, she's just getting on with it, but she knows deep down there's something that's going on.
And I really like the horror elements of this. I think we'll get to it in a bit, but all of these movies talk about filmmaking, and this puts a different perspective on. This is Hollywood filmmaking. The scene in particular where the head casting scene, I think, will be one of the most memorable scenes. That, to me, is, like, terrifying.
Yes.
You know, those scenes, they're scary.
They are, yeah.
And it takes the mundane and really puts an edge on them. And I like that.
And it also, I think, shows... Because Maxine, in both movies, is a bit of a fucking coke addict. She also, funnily enough, a little cute reference to X is on her desk is like a porcelain goose that she has the coke in. Obviously, a reference to the goose in Pearl, which is cute.
One of my favourite bits is at the end when she's like a famous superstar. She cuts her thing with a SAG card. Love that.
Yeah,
That made me laugh.
A membership card. Is
Yeah, but yeah, and she also puts her cigarette out on Theda Barr's Hollywood star, who is the woman in Palace Follies, that's who the alligator is named after.
Yes, right. So yeah, I think I love all that stuff, and
I think there's a lot of references back that you won't get on the first viewing. I certainly didn't. Like, I didn't think about the goose thing, so I think this would benefit from another watch.
Yeah. Again, I have one police detective. Give him a bit more of a character. I like Kevin Bacon's PI.
See, I think for me, you say it's not an 80s movie, but to me, it's more of a movie about 80s horror culture.
It's America's new Scream Queen.
Because you've got Kevin Bacon, if you know Kevin Bacon from a horror perspective, and you've got the guy in the video store, what's his name? Leon, the video store guy.
And it's very meta though.
Yeah.
She's like, name 5 actresses who got their start in horror.
Yeah.
Name 5 celebrities who got their start in horror movies.
Jamie Lee Curtis, John Travolta, Demi Moore, Brooke Shields, and
Maxine fucking Minx.
And I think it's more of a meta-textual way to explore the 80s theme than just it being like everyone's wearing baggy jeans and scrunchies. But I think the outfits are very 80s.
They are. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking more about the structure of the movie.
Oh, okay.
And the look of the movie.
Yeah.
And the outfits are great. The production design is great. I just wish it was shot and written more in an 80s way. Like, it would have been nice to have like who's my man from Halloween?
Which Halloween?
The first Halloween. And he's in loads of them. He died. What's his name?
The actor?
Yeah.
In Halloween?
Penance, you know.
Donald Pleasant.
Right. Like that sort. He plays a character in trying to work out which Argento it is, where he plays like a sort of police detective. And I'd like that sort of more
That's
dynamic.
Kevin Bacon.
He's a PI though.
Oh, I thought you meant more like person playing that role.
No, I mean like the police detective themselves. I didn't like the cop partnership. It felt very 2000s. It felt very, late 90s, 2000s, as opposed to an 80s sort of sleazy police detective.
Yeah, I think
it just didn't work for me.
I think there's no way you can get around that either. Where it's like they chose to do that cop thing, and
but I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, no, but that's what I mean. There's no way around. They wrote themselves into that hole. So
I think it's a problem with the writing.
Yeah, for sure. Where I'm like,
it's boring.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think they're in it enough for me to be annoyed about it. But yeah,
but again, it's so that lack of focus. Whereas the other two, you have like a nice small selection of characters who you really learn.
The scope in this is much larger, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong, it's a fun movie. The kills are great.
I think it's the fucking scene in the alleyway is
awesome. Yeah, so good. I didn't even mention that.
Crazy.
Drop it! Buster. What were you gonna do, huh?
Nothing. I was just playing around.
Well, we're playing now.
Yeah, fucking hell.
And
gory.
I was shocked. But even by like the sexual violence as well, it flips the script on that in a way that I thought worked really well.
Yeah, Maxine gets accosted in an alleyway.
Yeah.
And
she is not a victim.
Flips the script, yeah.
And I like that.
And she crushes someone's balls.
And
cock and balls, and it's...
But again, I like the sleazy, the peep show stuff. And she says when she's in the audition, like, if you're 35 still doing hardcore, you're basically like, that's...
she says...
I can't remember what her phrasing is.
I'm gonna be 33 years old pretty soon, and in hardcore, women age like bread, not wine. I'm not where I want to be yet. I want the good life.
There are parts about it that I really do like, and I think are really good. I've seen people's criticisms, and the third act being weak is obviously the most pervasive one that I've seen. And I can't necessarily say that I disagree, but I think the payoff at the end, I love the character of Maxine.
Yeah, it's great.
More than I like the character of Pearl, I think. And to me, I thought it was a satisfying conclusion. I get the complaints about the dad thing. I do understand that, but I didn't have a problem with it. I liked it. I like the satanic panic stuff. I find it weird and creepy, but that's what it should be. You know? I like this film a lot.
I'm glad to hear. And I did like it. I didn't love it, but I did like it.
I just absolutely understand people having their criticisms, but I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as people are making it out to be. And I think it's willfully choosing to pick faults in it. That's just my opinion.
Georgia says turn your brain off.
Yeah, just strap in and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
You know?
Is that all you have to say about Maxine?
I think so.
Maxine!
Maxine! Maxine!
Maxine!
Maxine!
Maxine! You're a fucking movie star.
So yeah, now that we've talked a little bit about the films, just to sort of conclude our discussion of the X trilogy, I thought it would be a little bit interesting to talk about the history of the X rating in cinema. After all, this is the X trilogy.
Yes.
So what I really like about these movies is that all of them comment on the state of the film industry at the time of the movies are set. So Pearl sort of talks about the very early days of cinema, even like pre-Hays Code, so like Technicolor, Wizard of Oz. You've got X being a representation of the rise of independent filmmaking and like pornography as well. Obviously the biggest influence there is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then Maxine is sort of sleazy 80s exploitation movies, like the Italian Giallo movies and sort of the rise of the home video market.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Which is obviously the main influence, I would assume, is obviously Dario Argento and all the like Italian Giallo movies. All those bitches wanted to be Argento.
The only thing more terrifying than the last 12 minutes of Suspiria are the first 92.
So, to give you a little bit of a background on the X rating specifically, because there's obviously a reason X is called X.
Yes, and the title card is the X rating.
Yes. So the X rating was basically implemented after the creation of the MPAA in 1968. The Hays Code was pre-MPAA, and essentially what that was the governing body of sort of filmmaking, and their aim was essentially to make sure that movies convened to the moral standards of the time.
Yes.
It was basically they were like the morality police of movies, so sort of holding these films to their own code as such. So with the creation of the MPAA, there was basically 4 categories that were sort of introduced. You had G for general audiences, M for mature audiences, R was restricted, and then the X rating was adults only. So unlike the other ratings, the X rating was not trademarked by the MPAA, so that basically meant that filmmakers could self-apply for the X rating without having to get the approval of the MPAA.
Right.
So this was basically the entry point for pornos to be distributed in cinema, because they could apply for an X rating without having to filter anything through the MPAA. So this is where we see the rise of this pornography cinema market. Again, wild to think that pornography cinemas were a thing, where you could go and watch porn with other people in a cinema. Like,
I don't
crazy.
like these movies.
Yeah.
Taking me to a place like this is about as exciting to me as saying let's fuck.
But obviously this rating of X severely hindered the ability to market and distribute the movies.
Yeah.
Similar with how we see with sort of an NC-17 rating.
Mm.
So during the 1970s, the X rating sort of became increasingly stigmatized due to its association with pornographic films. The porn industry basically, as I said, sort of co-opted the rating because it didn't have to be approved by anyone to get this distribution in cinemas. The most famous example of this movie is maybe, I'm going to bleep out the name, but which came out in 1972. I don't really want to talk about it too much because Linda Lovelace, have you heard that name before?
Yeah, I know Amanda Seyfried starred in The Lovelace.
Right, have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
I watched it quite a few years ago. I'm a massive Amanda Seyfried fan. So she was basically forced into making the movie by her abusive husband. So,
oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as of 2021, the return on investment for this movie was 90,014%.
Jesus.
So it is the most profitable movie of all time.
Yeah.
But there was an extra layer to it because the mob were involved, and
God.
there was like things about money laundering used to like push drugs and stuff. So there's a whole lot. But essentially, that is just sort of an example of the rise of pornography films and their distribution. But funnily enough, to come full circle, the profits that were made from this movie were used to create Bryanston Distributing, who then went on to fund the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
So
it's all connected.
It's all connected.
It's like poetry. They rhyme.
So after this, in the rise of pornos, this would be sort of around the time that Maxine is coming out. Theatres began refusing to show the X-rated movies, which meant that filmmakers basically had to get their movies edited down to be passed with an R rating. It wasn't sort of the kiss of death, because like A Clockwork Orange got the X rating. And Midnight Cowboy won Best Picture even with an X
Wow.
rating. So it wasn't a total...
But yeah, obviously, if you get into less cinemas, then you get less money and
Yeah.
return on investment.
Exactly. Eventually, this was replaced in September of 1990 by the NC-17 rating. So the X trilogy, I guess, porn is at the centre of all of these films and relationships with sexuality. X is obviously the filmmaking process of shooting a pornography movie. In Pearl, The Projectionist shows a real vintage stag film.
Yeah.
And Maxine obviously is a pornographic actress as well as starring in a Hollywood movie. So there's lots of meta commentary on filmmaking and pornography, and obviously we've talked a little bit about how it comments on the movie industry at the time as well. So it's a cool little full circle moment. There's a lot of degrees of separation which sort of funnel into and I think the X trilogy is, I think it's wonderful. I'm so happy that movies like this are still getting made. I can understand if Maxine doesn't work for everyone. I absolutely get that, but I don't know, I think it's an earned send off to what for me will go down as one of the best characters in like modern horror. I love it.
And one of the best horror trilogies.
It's fabulous.
Now I know why Wayne left his wife for you.
So do I.
Be careful.
Told y'all she was something special. X Factor.
So, we obviously know you're very smart, Georgia. We learnt that many a time.
Well, the last few weeks have been flopping.
Well, it's quiz time, everybody. And
Dun, dun, dun.
as we are covering the X trilogy, this quiz is about trilogies. So, I'm going to give you 3 years.
Ooh.
This will be a film trilogy. And it will be, obviously, when the years the 3 movies came out. And you have to tell me what trilogy they are.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
I have 11.
Oh, okay.
Question 1. 3 years. 2018, 2021, 2022.
Halloween.
Right off the bat, well done. You got that one correct.
Halloween 2018 is such a... Like, it's Halloween 2018.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Much like Batman 89. Right. Next, we have 1968, 1978, 1985.
So, 10 years between 1 and 2, and then 68. That's very early.
I will say, I'll give you a hint with this one.
Yeah.
It isn't like 1, 2, and 3.
What's the... Read the years again. 68,
68, 78, 85.
The 68 is really throwing me off, because that's old compared to 85.
It's old, yes.
Can you give me a clue?
Horror.
The Exorcist was the 70s. So they're not like 1, 2, and 3.
No. They all have a word in common.
Are these... There's only 3? Like, this one, are there only 3 movies?
No. They went on and did another trilogy in the 2000s, but no
Right.
one really likes them.
I don't know.
Do you give up?
I think I give up.
That was George Romero's Dead trilogy.
Ah.
Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead.
Got ya. Yeah, that's a blind spot for me. I don't like zombie movies at all.
So, question 3. 2001, 2002, 2003.
Ooh. 2001, 2, and 3. Can you give me a clue to the genre?
No, because it'll give it away.
Okay.
But I'll say it won a lot of Oscars. They were the biggest films of the early 2000s. Think about queuing for midnight releases.
Yeah. The only 3 that exist.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
See, I didn't think they would be in that quick succession. That's mental.
Well, they filmed them all at once.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
I think
released every Christmas.
I think I was thinking about like the Hobbit movie.
Yeah.
That's mental.
You are 2 for 3.
Yeah.
Next one. 2005, 2008, 2012.
What was it? 2005,
2005, 2008, 2012.
Give me a clue on the genre.
Action.
Transformers.
No, these are good movies.
Okay. Well, there's 4 of those, I guess. 5, 8, and 12.
Yes. Big director. I guess elements of fantasy are in there.
5, 8, and 12. This is hard, you know.
You saw the one in 2012 in the cinema.
Ooh, Batman. Trilogy. Dark Knight
The
trilogy.
Dark Knight trilogy, well done.
2005. Was that how early Batman Begins was? Crazy.
Question 5. 1972, 1974, 1990.
Exorcist?
No.
What was it? 72?
74, 90.
The Godfather.
Correct, The Godfather.
Yeah.
Well done, you're doing well here.
1990, the outlier.
Question 6. 2009, 2011, 2013. And I will say, this is the hardest question of the lot.
It's a consistent number of years between them. Do I like this franchise?
It's not a franchise.
Okay, it's not a franchise, so they're just 3 movies.
Yes. And you don't really like them.
Have we seen them?
Yes.
All 3?
Yes.
Ooh. 9, 11, 13.
Yeah. The 2013 one was split into 2 parts. But the director regards them as one film.
Hobbit.
No.
The director regards them as one film.
Not a franchise.
What's the genre?
Horror at the start, a bit drama. It's an auteur director. The director regards it as a trilogy, but it's more thematic.
Right. Is it someone like Lars von Trier, his like, not the Melancholia trilogy, but those movies?
I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
It's the Depression trilogy. by Lars
That's
von
it. I
Trier.
couldn't think what it's called. What is it? So you got Melancholia.
Antichrist, Melancholia, Nymphomania.
Got ya. Yeah.
Well done. That was
Thanks.
impressive.
What do you mean? I don't really like them. I fucking hate.
I thought you
those
liked
movies.
Nymphomaniac.
No.
Oh,
I haven't-
Nymphomaniac's great. Mia Goth, shout out.
I haven't watched it in so long, but
Those movies are great. Melancholy is great. Antichrist, I need to rewatch. 'cause
no, I hate him.
Okay, next question. 1985, 1989, 1990.
85, 89, 90. Back to the Future.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well done. Do you like the Back to the Future trilogy?
I do.
I don't like the third one.
I know. I like that one though.
Right. 2002, 2003, 2005.
Hostel.
No.
No, Hostel's not
Good
that
guess.
early
though.
anyway.
Good guess.
2, 3, and 5.
Yes.
Are there exclusively 3 movies or?
Yes. But I will say they aren't so-and-so 1, so-and-so 2, so-and-so 3. They're not named that. So I wouldn't call this a franchise.
No, Spider-Man. No.
No, Spider-Man So 2. Oh, yeah. But it's not Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man 3 is a lot later.
Yeah. Is it like that comic book? Because it was either torture porn or.
It's not that.
That's.
Oh, maybe you could consider it that. It's a bit more highbrow.
2, 3, and 5.
Yes.
Do I like? Have I seen?
Yeah, we've watched them together, and you love them.
I love them.
Yeah.
2, 3, and 5.
I will say the 03 one is a classic. It got remade, so that's a clue. It got remade into an English language film.
Pusher.
No,
That's 2004, isn't it?
I think so.
Oh, I don't know.
Did you give up?
I feel like I should know this. Yeah, I give up.
The Vengeance trilogy.
So,
Lady Vengeance, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy.
Oh, so good.
So good. Okay, next question. We've got 3 more. 1981, 1987, 1992.
81, 87, 92. That's big gaps.
Yeah.
Big gaps. I need a clue.
Horror.
Horror. Alien?
No.
Predator.
No. This is 3 very different movies, but you'd class them all as horror.
Is it legacy? Like
Yes, yeah,
it
very
is.
much.
Halloween?
No, not slasher.
No, it's not a slasher.
No.
What were the years?
81,
81,
87, 92.
Hmm.
You like the first one? I don't think you like the others very much. Whereas I like them all. Tricky, tricky, tricky.
Is it like a Stuart Gordon type?
I guess you could... no, not really. It's more classic horror. It's very influential.
Give me a last-ditch clue, and if not, I might have to take the L on this one.
The first one's a textbook horror.
Yeah.
Second one's a horror comedy. Third one is like a fantasy horror.
Oh my god.
Oh, if you're not getting it, though, come on. 81, 87, 92.
No, I don't know.
Evil Dead trilogy.
Oh, yeah. No. No. Army of Darkness is rubbish.
It's not rubbish. 2004, 2007, 2013.
4, 7, and 13. It's a big gap between 7 and 13.
Once again, this is not a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Not a franchise. More of a thematic, spiritual trilogy. Sort of more of a trilogy than that. People refer to this as a trilogy.
4, 7, and 13.
Yes. English.
English. 4.
Comedy.
Shaun of the Dead. The Cornetto trilogy.
Cornetto trilogy. Well done. Shaun of the Dead. Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
World's End. Last one. 1999, 2002, 2005.
Blair Witch Project.
This is, I'd say, the easiest.
The easiest.
Don't overthink it.
What were the years?
99, 02, 05.
Prequels.
Prequel!
Yay!
Well done. Well done, Georgia. Well, let's see how many you got. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of 11.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah, you did really well there. This is a difficult one when you hear so many years.
Yeah,
after
and also
another,
we've been recording this for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
My brain, it feels like spaghetti.
Well done. You did well on the quiz. You did well on the X trilogy. It's been a nice chat this week.
It has. And I'm very, very, very excited to talk about Long Legs next week.
Yeah, we've seen
it
twice.
Please go and see it. It's
See it while you
fucking
can.
amazing.
I'm thinking of going again.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
So check that out. Next week we'll release that.
And then we're going to go on break.
And then we're gonna go
we've
on
got
break.
Cuckoo coming out. Which
Cuckoo, yes. We've
Alien
got
Romulus.
Alien Romulus.
Yeah.
Can't wait. and In a Violent Nature is out, but
Yeah,
God knows
it
where
wasn't
that
showing anywhere near us, which was annoying because I really want to see that. Hopefully
Well,
it'll come streaming soon.
Hopefully
Anyway,
it will.
thank you so much for listening as
Thank
always.
you, everyone.
Stay tuned and see you soon.
See you soon. Ta-ra.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't like these movies.
Get real.
I saw that movie 20 goddamn times!
Just consume father. I want my movies.
Having so much fun, man!
Oh, this movie's too complicated.
So once again, no smoking in this theater.